This is my father, Edward the Eighth, and he was always married. The only time he was married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, Windsor, who was queen in 36 and should have remained because my father was illegally taken down with character assassination and lies. This is my Aunt Georgia O'Keefe, the artist. This is when I was kidnapped and first brought to Moulton, Alabama, to that dump site. And that's George there with me. By the way, his middle name was Washington, George Washington. And I'm the Queen of England. You get in, and then they brought in a baby and put him there that was named Philip. I thought he was a half brother because they stole my identity. This is me. Uh, and I didn't know, I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know my real name until I was flown out. I don't have that up, to Larry Flint's. He had been shot by a program shooter in '83 to replace Congressman Dr. Larry McDonald. And I started finding out my real name then. I look back, though, and the Brits were always there. And I mean, they saved my life more than you can believe or think. Now then, if I sound rambling, I don't feel all that great. And I think I'm going nowhere fast. I've put up so many YouTubes, and of late there's been some really nice response. People responding. But there's also the cruel ones. And I wonder how anyone can think that I can make this up and any part of it could go back and there's timeline associated with it all, where I've worked or etc. Now I'm putting this up for one reason. It gets into if there's a few that have tried to find a way to help me, because obviously financially I've been kept, I can't even buy a bra or food, get a few food stamps. How's that? Had to beg for them. Yeah, I'm shut down. I'm living in a motel, so that people would say, well, why are you living in a motel? So I'm put in the position of trying to tell this horrific crimes that have been committed and are ongoing, just like the letter from the FBI, June the 23rd of 79, ongoing investigation, national security involved. That being, if they told the truth about me, were made to print it, and what's been done and being done, and the others that are involved, the people. I wrote a book about mind control. Larry Flint was shot by a program shooter, and then I was flown out there later in '83, out to his Bel Air home. But anyway, I don't think people grasp, or a lot of people don't care. A lot of people do, of what's going on. I'm allergic to chemicals. I have an autoimmune disorder. And if I get around toxic fumes and am forced to inhale them, it has bad, dire consequences for me, the inflammation. The last years, I have been forced to live, and I have been. I lived out in the national forest for a while. And a lady asked me, and her intent was good, but I didn't answer it because you know how it makes me sound. And that's exactly the way they meant to make me sound. Yes, they did come up and spray. I'm allergic to chemicals, and I'm not going to tell you what they burned. They didn't just spray it, which is illegal. They would come up if I managed to get a tent and soak it in chemicals, and I would lose it. And anyway, I've lived in motels. When I tried to leave, I was forced to come back here to Roanoke. And to get HUD, you should hear that. I can't get anything into court. It's so appalling. If that part, I mean, it's just an ongoing my whole life. And someone would hear this and say, well, you're babbling, get to the point. God Almighty, I have put up for the last 5 and 6 years my point. I don't know what else to say. Last night, I'm kept penniless. And I wonder next week what's going to happen to me here. I really do. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to say that again. I'm sure somebody will get mad. And then there's those, a bunch that are so nice, and I don't mean to leave them out. I don't. Last night I saw the second of a two-part, I think it was, on ABC. There's not any of the media that's controlled by the Illuminati, the people that kidnapped me, that do not know all this about my kidnapping, the illegal takedown of my dad, his marriage to my mom. Wallace Warfield Simpson married a double, an imposter. And yes, Elizabeth and the whole family from every area of my family know the truth. A few of them back then did try to help and may still be trying to help, and I'm unaware of it. Maybe it's not financial. Maybe it's just keeping me alive. I don't know, but I know I'm living in hell, really. Don't know where my children are. And I watched this last night of the so-called royal family. These people are traitors. They all know what Diana knows about Wallace Simpson marrying a double, about my father marrying Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, an American, mind you, in the Church of England. I was christened in 39. So the minute I was born, I'm Victoria II, the legal heir. There were legal papers drawn up, and then they had to kidnap me. And my own uncle, here he is with Roosevelt. This is George Elizabeth's father, who the Illuminati took out my father, took out my mom, kidnapped me. That is also involves the Kennedys, JFK. And his dad was appointed ambassador by Roosevelt. So it's the Rockefellers, Roosevelt. You turn on your TV and you see Rockefeller Plaza. I mean, they've put it right in your face. Now, here is, I'm going to say this again, and I guess there's people outside that hear me here, and you don't dare tell the truth. Oh, no. Like the Dempseys, where I was taken. When I started putting up on YouTube, you should see the crimes that were done against me, trying to shut me up by them, because Lina Dempsey had killed her twins, Peggy and Carl, and I was put there and given the name of Peggy. They were born out of wedlock. When I started putting this up on Facebook and YouTube is when they became afraid. And you would be shocked to know how they started out accusing me of things, and then they knew I put too much up there, and other people were coming forth in Moulton, Alabama. By the way, Hugh Hefner's wife was from Moulton. Anyway, Hugh Hefner does get involved in all this, and he did try to help way back then some. But this was given to me. I was living on the Appalachian Trail, homeless. They were told not to help me. And this has gone on and on and on. Implantable biochips. This is what I was telling about in mind control murders, the Tesla files. They talk about it there. The biochip will be the agency by which all financial transactions are registered. No one will be excluded from having to take his mark without facing the death penalty, a truly do or die situation. My good friend, well, I don't know if they want me to continue reading it. Tex Mars wrote this book. He's written several, and he's deceased. But the church sent this up to me, stating this, and it was given to me. This is what you've been telling about. So I was telling about this in 1976. The murders and chipping, they put them in your root canal. I might add, where are all your doctors? I tell you where they are. The same thing that's just happened with Scott Peterson was a program that was mind control done in patterns. He's on death row for supposedly killing Lacey, his wife, and unborn child Connor. Now, there's been one, and the only thing that makes me know for sure it was a mind control murder is Chris Watts up in Frederick, Colorado. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because now it doesn't even, nobody's going to put it up, I don't suppose. The law has to work. And I am rambling. I'm going to show this again. This is Wallace Simpson, who married a double. There was more than one double. My father never had anything to do with this American spy, and I got other words for it. There was a seal put on this, and for some reason it was pulled, and they did get it printed for whatever reason. Titled Wallace and Her Secret Lover, Daily Mail 130, 2003. Jeffrey Levy and Richard K. AN, I don't know what that is, FT 11906271988 database newspaper source. There was a seal put on this. Wallace, so they released it, Wallace and Her Secret Lover. You should see the documents were supposed to remain under seal for 100 years. Well, they weren't. It is the most pitiful thing to have done to a man who wouldn't take orders from the Illuminati. And look what they've done to him. They're talking about, oh my God, he was always married to my mom, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, and they were still married and alive October the 20th of 86. And people start asking questions, which some of them I can understand. I can't tell you the reasons for everything. I can tell you my mom and dad were still alive then, and that I did see my mom. I saw her 3 times. I was staying at the rescue mission. She came in, and here in Roanoke, she came in, and I thought it was Georgia O'Keeffe. I was just finding out, remember, in 83 and trying to piece things together. And the Brits were there. I mean, you know, I know over the years that they dwindle, the people that know about it. And it's the average Brit, English, UK, Australia, or the Army have helped. Well, the military forces, thank God. And believe it or not, Elizabeth's over that. She's illegal, a traitor. Well, I guess I've said all that. This is my Aunt Georgia. And I was telling that, did I finish this? It was Timothy McVeigh. Let me go back now. I am skipping around, but I hope you can follow me. Timothy McVeigh, I knew, was a program shooter because of the patterns. But this was in here, and he died. He's on death row, just like Scott Peterson is, and Chris Watts of Frederick, Colorado. They put a chip up in the military. I started to say something about the second. They had 2 parts to the royal family, ABC. And I want to remind you and go back to that the people that kidnapped me, the Freemasons, Illuminati, your mafia, your global government that came to be after they took down my father and kidnapped me. It's the illegal treaties that were allowed to be signed that allowed all this to happen. So they don't speak of any of this. They have so put up, flaunted it right in front of the world. I might ask you with what those 2 specials, I only saw a part, I couldn't stomach it. They don't show the real monarch and what I'm dressed in and what's happened to me and what my father, what's been done to him. And these are a pack of thieves sitting up there. And Elizabeth's always known, the whole family has. So it, one question to ask is why is Elizabeth and that family making her out to be a hero when she has done nothing but she represents the Illuminati that kidnapped me, the global government. She spoke before the United Nations, went right through next to me in Roanoke, and I was living on the Appalachian Trail, and I'll give you the date, the approximate when The students were shot at Virginia Tech next door in Blacksburg at Christiansburg, and the mass shooting where the shooter was programmed to run to shoot himself. Now, I can't put much more up here other than why in all this does the news media not have all these specials and these daily reports about the Queen of Sweden, the Queen of, the Netherlands. I don't know, because that's where Beatrix sold out, and the war tribunals there, and a bunch of other stuff, which Henry Kissinger, I've put that up to, and man, it ain't funny. It's funny if you ever see him handcuffed, and but Sweden, Denmark, there's no mention of these royal family weddings or anything. So what's the point? I guess it's a close relationship that Elizabeth has formed with the American government. Don't let me ever come back, the real monarch. She represents the global government. So I probably shouldn't have tried to put this up today, because I moved around because I have an autoimmune disorder, and all you have to do is put me in a room, and this is what they've been doing, toss me around, feed me toxic fumes, and there's different ways to do it, and I'm going to give you a simple one. I'm not going to, I just told about Scott Hill, so I'm run from here to here, low income, trying to get it, and same thing's done there. They do the same thing to you, get them under oath and perjury. And by the way, they're using that in the Trump and that stuff up there now. You have to get people under oath in fear of perjury and being locked up for perjuring yourself. So I can't get an attorney, so this has been allowed to go on. So I just bounced from Scott Hill again, and it makes it look bad for me if you don't know the truth. I came back here. You should see what was done out there, and this ongoing. It's a wonder I live. It's like this scalded dog running. I came back, and I've stayed here since the 1st. This is back here where I've been most of the past year, even though it's so expensive. For me, I don't have that much money. And I moved yesterday, so I have to pack up what belongings I have and come up. And that may sound easy unless you've done it over and over and you lose stuff. And anyway, I came up here and thought, well, God, maybe this room is better. I always hope. Well, I come in and I got so sick I couldn't stand it. And the whole flooring had been I guess they just shampooed it. And believe me, they all know that I'm allergic, and this has been going. It's a sick joke. It really is. Joke's on me, I guess. But the other thing, so I'm waiting for it to dry and hope the chemical smell goes away. I don't know. They had just done that half of the floor and then put me in here yesterday. So last night was hell. So I guess I want to mention this. The Tesla files were about you can cure an illness or create one. So when people run around telling you they've just opened up a medical research center for cancer, or something else, they already have the cures. And I'm not, believe me, I'm not the one with the making light of something. I've been telling this, and now I wonder why, The hospital I work for, Urban Medical, is now turned into a cancer research center. Can you believe it? I'm working there when it opened on Windy Hill in Marietta.